Hello fellows, this is your host Zainab Kodingwali, currently a proud student at Rehan School Online Academy Foundation Level Batch 4. Today I will be sharing my review of the TEDx talk inside a school for suicide bombers by Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy. This is not an easy task to listen because it deals with one of the darkest realities of time, the recurrent the recurrent of children into extremist groups. But is it is an important talk because only by facing the truth we can create solutions. Sharmeen begins by telling us about the schools she investigated. Schools not for learning math, science, or languages, but for training children to become suicide bombers. These children are often from poor families, sometimes orphans, and they are um, promised paradise, glory, and rewards if they sacrifice their lives. This shocking manipulation is made possible because of ignorance. When children are denied real education, they become um, vulnerable to lies. Instead of being taught to think, they're taught to hate. Sharmeen shows how poverty is one of the biggest tools extremists use. Families who cannot afford to feed their children sometimes send to madrasas where food and shelter are free, but the price is brainwashing. In her research, she discovered how carefully extremist groups shape the mind of the children. They use religion, distorted teachings, and powerful emotional stories to convince them that dying as a suicide bomber is honorable. Perhaps the most heartbreaking part of her talk is when she shows how children who should be playing, learning, and dreaming are instead turned into weapons. Their innocence is stolen and their future is destroyed. Sharmeen strongly emphasizes that the only way to counter this is when children learn to read, write, think, and question. They cannot be brainwashed so much earlier. This TEDx talk is very emotional because it forces us to think about what kind of world we are creating. The idea that our children can be convinced to take its own life and the lives of others is both terrifying and heartbreaking. Sharmeen's courage is exposing this in this like Sharmeen's courage in exposing this hidden world is admirable. She puts her own safety at risk to uncover these stories so that the world cannot ignore them. Value education that every child has a right to real quality education. Without it, they are vulnerable to manipulation. Fight and ignorance with knowledge. Ignorance is the bleeding ground to extremism. Knowledge is the cure. Awareness and compassion. Instead of blaming children, we must understand how they are exploited and work to protect them. The role of youth. As students, you must be aware of these issues, use our voices, and be part of building a society where no children is used as a weapon. When I listened to Sharmeen about Chinoy's um, talk, I felt both sadness and hope. Sadness for the countless children who were robbed of their future, and because awareness like this can bring um, change. It also reminded me of the mission of Rahan School to educate children, to teach them to think freely, and to save them from ignorance. Education is not just about success, it's about survival, freedom, and peace. To conclude, inside a school for suicide bombers is difficult but essential. TEDx talk. Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy shows us a dark reality, but she also reminds us that change is possible. Her message is clear. If we want a safe and peaceful tomorrow, we must invest in education today.